Good morning, CrossFit Linchpin. Oh, let's see. Get the video going properly. All right, how's everybody doing? Today is January 23rd, 2020. It's another rainy day here outside of Seattle, Washington. Surprise, surprise. But today's video is basically, this is a beast of a topic, but hopefully very useful. The goal of today's video is to help identify who you should listen to and who you should not listen to, be it in life, on the internet, in any random conversation, or any of that good stuff. So, imagine being able to cut through a lot of fluff or BS and identify that one person has a heck of a lot more credibility than another. And this is, in my humble opinion, a huge challenge today with social media and the internet, because the wonderful thing about social media, one of the greatest things, is also one of the worst things. So one of the greatest things about social media is it connects everybody, and everybody has a voice, and everybody can weigh in, and everybody can make noise. And the worst thing, or one of the worst things about it, is everybody can weigh in, and everybody has a voice. Even some people who will come off as if they know what they're talking about when they really don't know what they're talking about, and all they do is cloud the conversation, distract the conversation, and derail the conversation, and delay getting to the actual results, because now you post a question on social media, you get 35 responses, all coming off as non-validated experts, and everybody is presenting what they're saying as if it is a fact, when most of it is probably not. It's most likely an opinion. It's not a fact or a law from a scientific standpoint, but everybody feels that it is. So they present it as if it is unquestionable, unwavering, and they've done 10 years of clinical research to back up what they said. That's how everybody comes off. Nobody says, hey, this is totally just my opinion, and I know it worked for me and my buddy, and I don't even know if it works for anybody else, but hey, give this a try if you want. It might not work for you. Very few folks say that. If they do, good on them. Most people present themselves as the expert, and that is not really useful. So, there's a couple things that all relate to this that I've read. One I've read recently, one I read a long time, and it's all just popped into my head. I saw something yesterday that just crystallized this. People presenting as if they knew more than they did, which again happens all the time. So the two things I'm going to reference are a very old CrossFit Journal article, which is called, I've got it open right now, and if you're a nerd, I recommend you read it. It's great. It's called Conjecture, Hypothesis, Theory, Law, and it was written in December 2007, so about 13 years ago, in CrossFit Journal issue 64. And it was written by Jeff Glassman, not Greg Glassman, Greg Glassman's father, Jeff Glassman, who was an actual rocket scientist. Very sharp individual and knows how good science is done. So he wrote this article. And then, if that's a bit too nerdy for folks, then there's a book that I recommend that I really enjoyed. It's a beast of a book. It's by Ray Dalio. It's called Principles, and it's a big book. It is. How big is this? This is about 550 pages. Ray Dalio was an investor and did very well for himself, became a billionaire, and skyrocketed his company and grew one heck of a company, investing his money and other folks' money, and created a very interesting culture at his company to ideally help everyone make the best decisions possible, bring everyone's strengths to the table so that everybody could be utilized to their fullest and propel their enterprise forward. And he was very successful in doing that. And on, page around 370, he's got something he calls believability weight. And that's not W-A-I-T. It's weight, as in how much something is, weighs. Believability weight your decision making. And so I'm going to read this paragraph or two aloud, and I think it will help get the point across, which means everybody who says something to you does not have the same level of believability, and therefore you should not take what they say from person A and person B with the same believability weight. And that makes a lot of sense to me. It says, in typical organizations, most decisions are made either autocratically by a top-down leader or democratically, where everyone shares their opinions, and those opinions that have the most support are implemented. But both systems produce inferior decision-making. That's because the best decisions are made by an idea meritocracy with believability-weighted decision-making, in which the most capable people work through their disagreements with other capable people who have thought independently about what is true and what to do about it. It is far better to weigh the opinions of more capable decision-makers more heavily than those of less capable decision-makers. This is what we mean by quote-unquote believability weighting. So how do you determine who is capable at what? The most believable opinions are those of people who, number one, have repeatedly and successfully accomplished the thing in question, and number two, have demonstrated that they can logically explain their cause and effect relationships behind their conclusions. That's gold right there. So we'll say that one more time. Who should you listen to more than somebody else? People who, number one, have repeatedly and successfully accomplished the thing in question. And then number two, have demonstrated that they can logically explain the cause and effect relationships behind their conclusions. That simple statement or metric right there would eliminate 92% of the noise and comments on social media, where everybody weighs in as if they have done everything. And if you peeled back that onion, you would just probably see somebody disgruntled on their couch, farting into the cushions, covered with, potato chips all over themselves. Not probably some highly accomplished titan of industry that when you read through their credentials and resume, you'd be like, oh, wow, yeah, I should certainly listen to you based upon what you have fact-based accomplished in your life. So that in and of itself, I think, is wonderful. Governor Hill, potato chips. Hey, no disparaging remarks about potato chips. I mean, as a young man, by the way, I was overweight, but sour cream and onion potato chips, those were a go-to right there. Let's see, just joined and missed the book title. Could you please... Sure, the title is Principles by Ray Dalio. I know it's going to be backwards here since the camera's in mirror image, but Ray Dalio, Principles. Big book, great book, fantastic. Okay, now here's the kind of second part of that. That's a nice little encapsulation. Then you've got Jeff Glassman, the scientist. And again, the 2007, December 2007, CrossFit Journal, issue 64, name of the article, Conjecture, Hypothesis, Theory, Law, the Basis of a Rational Argument, by Jeff Glassman. So, basically, it's like a 3 or 4 page article, but there's a difference between conjecture, hypothesis, theory, and law, and the point is that most people, as you go down that list from conjecture, hypothesis, theory, law, whatever you're saying has to be more and more of a fact. You've tried harder and harder to disprove it, and when you get to law, you're pretty much good to go. Conjecture is just, you can say whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter if you've done anything to prove it, if you're right or wrong, if it's totally unsubstantiated. And the problem is that what most people say often is conjecture, but they present it as if it is law. And that is just troubling and confusing and delays getting any resolution or true answers to what you're doing. So when you think about that, and you think about that believability weight that Ray Dalio just spoke about, hopefully it helps cut through some of this stuff out. So here's what Jeff says. Conjecture is an incomplete model or an analogy to another domain. He gives some examples. He says an example of conjecture is ephedrine enhances fitness. That's conjecture. Number 2, hypothesis. A hypothesis is a model based on all data in its specified domain with no counterexample and incorporating a novel prediction yet to be validated by facts. An example of that would be mental aging can be delayed by applying the use it or lose it dictum. Number 3, a theory is a hypothesis with at least one non-trivial validating datum. Candidates that are a theory include, but are not limited to, relativity, Big Bang, and evolution. Number 4, a law. A law is a theory that has received validation in all possible ramifications and to known levels of accuracy. Laws are Newtonian mechanics, gravity, Henry's law, and the law of thermodynamics. I know there's a lot of stuff going on there, but point being, what comes out of most folks' mouths is not law, and is nowhere near law, yet they present it as if it is law, and that's not helpful. And if as a human being just walking the planet, you can start to just be a little bit more aware and tuned in to that, and then try to sift through who's saying what to me, and is there somebody in this crowd that I should listen to more than somebody else based upon their credentials and what they've done? Not necessarily who's barking the loudest. That doesn't really mean anything. But based upon actual real-world experience, that's the person you should listen to. And I can also encapsulate this in one more way, which is it's another really easy trap to fall into on the internet or in life, quite frankly, where somebody will launch a remark out at you or somebody else or the internet or whatever, and it'll be a scathing, biting, cutting remark that stings. Maybe they're telling you that what you're doing is stupid or dangerous or ineffective or whatever it happens to be. Squatting below parallel is bad for your knees. I can't believe you're going to do that. You're going to blow your knees out. And they say something like that. All they've done is made a statement which falls right in line with what we just said, conjecture. They said nothing to back it up and prove it. Oh, squatting's bad for your knees. You're going to blow your knees out. And then they shut their mouth. And somehow it has become acceptable for the person that made that remark to not to need to back it up, and then the person they said it to becomes defensive, and they feel the need to start talking and prove to the person who said that why it's not dangerous. Oh, no, it's not. It's okay for reason A, B, C, and D. And what should actually happen in a rational, logical discussion is the person says, oh, you shouldn't do that squatting. It's bad for your knees. It's terrible for your knees. And the other person should say, okay, I've heard your statement. Now I'm waiting for you to back it up with a very nice array of logic and facts. And if you did that, there would probably be silence because most people are just conjecture. They're not actually saying things that are fact-based. And if they did start saying other things after it, there would be a really good chance that what they were saying still wasn't facts. It was just opinions that they very passionately believed and very much want to be perceived as facts, but that's just not the case. So, anyway, I hope that's good to go. I hope you guys enjoy that. Let's see. Let's see if we missed anything here. All right. We're going all right. More potato chips. People that love the potato chips. Okay, yep, got the book title. Let's see. Thanks for everything you do through CrossFit Linchpin. I've been on the private track for 2 months and I really enjoyed it. Feel like I'm making progress, but not feeling too fatigued. Very cool. Good. That is the point. Let's see. CK05 programming question. Why did you program the 12 by 12 meter shuttle sprints versus just doing 120 meter total sprints? Which workout was that? I think I know the one that you're talking about. Was it the one? I think you're talking about the one that was in a 1 minute window. You did 120 meters of shuttle sprints, 10 meters back and forth until you get to 120 meters. And then in the remaining time, you did push-ups. So great question. And then there was like a 2-minute rest. You did it again. You did it a bunch of times. Your score is the total push-ups. So the question is, why didn't you just have a 120-meter sprint versus 12 10-meter shuttle sprints to get to 120 meters? Neither one is right or wrong. We do just straight line sprinting, be it 100s, 200s, 400s, 800s, far more frequently than we do shuttle sprinting. So now if we're looking to also get in some sprinting on that particular day that was programmed and look back at some variance and what have we done a lot of, what haven't we done so much of, let's embrace the one that we haven't done so much of. The shuttle sprinting worked well for that particular day, and so that's why that went in there. And then the other part is, if I did make it in that same 1 minute window, just a solid 120 meter sprint and in time remaining push-ups, I would have probably had to make it a bit more than 120 meters because I tested that several times and I wanted people to have about 15 seconds to maybe 20 seconds remaining in that window, in that 1 minute window, to do the push-ups at the end. And doing a shuttle sprint, doing 12 10-meter shuttle sprints to accomplish 120 meters of sprinting takes more time than just one straight line 120-meter sprint. So I would have had to probably make it more than 120 meters because you would have had too much time left. And given how many intervals of that we were going to do, that all kind of came into play as to how long will each sprint take somebody, how much time will the average person have left in that 1 minute window, how many push-ups could they potentially get, how many times are we doing this, what will the overall volume be by the end of the workout, is it too much, is it too little, is it right in that sweet spot. So point being, could it have been done with a straight line sprint? Absolutely. Absolutely, no doubt about it. It just would have needed to be tweaked or massaged a little bit to ensure that the sweet spot that we were looking to hit, that we hit, and that's all. And the decision to make it a shuttle sprint or not make it a shuttle sprint, in my opinion, is done looking backwards on what we've done recently, identifying what we need to do moving forward, and then choosing that. And for that day, the shuttle sprint made sense. So that's that. Okay, and it's just great, you get to pivot, back and forth in the shuttle sprints, which is a fantastic thing that we don't do too frequently, too many other times in a lot of the traditional workouts that we do in CrossFit. So on the occasion that we get to have, pivoting and turning and twisting during the workout, it's just kind of a fun little deal. So that's it. All right, so that's that. Oh, somebody says they enjoyed the rant. You know what? Everyone likes a good rant every now and then. So hopefully it helps, find some value of it, and it helps you make decisions moving forward and eliminate some of the clutter. So that's it. Talk to everybody later.